Hey there guys, welcome back to Doug and Racecraft YouTube channel. In this episode, we take my Coyote Swap Mustang II to the track for its maiden blown voyage. Alright, so before we get into the video, I just want to take you in a quick walk around of the car because a lot of things have changed and I haven't really gotten to make a lot of videos to accommodate those changes. So really quick, we're just going to do a quick walk around the car, go through everything with the state of where it's at now, and then we'll get back into the video. Alright, so let's change the car since last time you guys have seen it. So, the car is now on E85, so there's a couple things to go along with that. I still have the VMP billet fuel rails, nice and pretty. Also have FIC 1000cc injectors, obviously with a return style fuel system, boost reference. Boost reference goes to the back of the intake manifold back there, goes over to the fuel pressure regulator, running 55 psi base pressure. Blowers right now making around 10 or 11 pounds, something like that. Also went to a 5-inch cold air, 4-inch before, but if you have the two next to each other, it's quite the huge difference. Obviously with the way circles work, the bigger you go, the more air you go per the same distance, you know, blah blah blah, all that good stuff. Still have the same heat exchanger that you saw last time, as well as the ice tank with no ice in it right now, just water. Single fan, 3/4 radiator, all that good stuff. Mustang II front suspension with tubular control arms, coilovers, all that good stuff. The front is geometric calipers on Weld Ventura wheels, 17x7. Some nice tires on there. Not really, just China, good old stuff. On the back, just did this last week, got a VMS 15x10 on a 275/60/15 NT555 radial. These are just temporary to get me going for now. I'm really not a huge fan of these tires, but you know, they work. They hold air, they're round, all that good stuff. Got the same brakes in the back as I do in the front. Obviously need to upgrade here pretty soon. 9-inch in the rear, obviously true duals all the way back. Do have a full cage in the car. Well, not full cage yet, sorry. Got a roll bar in the car. Do fuel pump relays for the single fuel pump. Interior wise, right now it's pretty basic. I really threw the car together last year just to get it moving, and then it's becoming more and more temporary. So, like I said, got the roll bar, door bars, main hoop, harness bar, bars going down the back, 6 points. That's what you need to go 999 in a car that's 2014 and older now. Obviously got the 5-point G-force harnesses, stock Fox body seats, 6RD shifter from an S550, obviously 6RD. The XZD Stage 2 clutch backs, billet intermediate shaft, nothing too special. I also get a lot of questions on what these buttons are for. So these are arcade switches. I've always wanted to incorporate these in the build somehow, and I finally found a way to do it. This is shifting up and down. So put the vehicle back into select shift, which is also sport mode. So if you put it down into select shift, it'll shift on its own as if it's in sport mode, but as soon as you hit one of the buttons, it's in full manual mode. Obviously shift up, shift down. These are obviously very robust buttons since they're from, you know, an arcade cabinet. They're meant to be, you know, smashed on, all that good stuff, and they'll last. So, without further ado, let's get into the rest of the video. So a few weeks ago, we decided to take the car to the track for the first time. I have a very bad habit of changing big things, making big changes on the car, you know, right up before big events. I'd planned on taking it to the car, went to Byron Raceway, obviously in Byron, Illinois. Was going to take it there on Friday. That Tuesday night, I decided that we were going to try and put the car in 85. And for those of you that don't know, that's a very big change, requires a lot of tuning changes, especially on a blown forced induction setup. There's a lot you have to change to make sure the engine's running safe, because if it leans out, obviously no bueno for the engine. Got the car tuned basically right up until that night, so it was on a Friday night. Had a half-day work that day. Came home, loaded the car up, took the car to Byron, about 2.5 hours from here. Never been to Byron before. It's a fantastic racetrack. In the distance from the track, you can see the nuclear silos because it has one of the last remaining nuclear power plants in the country. So interesting fact about Byron. Usually when I go to the track sessions go pretty smooth. Not this time around. Obviously, the faster the car gets, the more work it's going to take to make it work. This time, started out with the car on the 17-inch Weld RTSs that I had on the car before with the Mickey Thompson ET Street SSs. 26-inch tall tire, really good tire. The track prep was killer that night, so I don't really know what I was expecting. I just wanted to see what the car would do on those Mickey Thompsons. It launched so hard in first, it essentially hit the limiter so hard in first gear that it went into limp mode. Obviously Mike and I hadn't got to do any first gear tuning because traction's a big issue. So since there was enough traction on the track, found that issue. So obviously that's been resolved since then, but they were out of the office that night, which is totally understandable because everybody's got to have personal time. So when the car goes into limp mode, what happens is it essentially cuts half the cylinders and you have no throttle input. So I'm like trying to limp the car down the track, pulled it over off to the side. Obviously I knew what was wrong with it right away. Shut it off, started again, went down the track, no big deal. But before it hit the limiter, it went 160 to the 60 foot, which, you know, for a blower car isn't fantastic, but for this car it's awesome, and it kind of sets the stage for later events in this video. Going into the second pass, we made some changes. Our buddy Brett had his 28-inch tall slicks that he had brought with us. I don't really know what I was expecting that time, but car did a wheelie. So I pulled the front tire off the ground, and to be completely honest, I whiskey throttled it. So we had decided we were going to leave it in first when we launched, and then kind of, you know, ease into the throttle so we can get it past the 60 foot, just to put a number down, just to see what the car was going to run. The throttle in this is still very tricky with this being the Hellcat throttle body. It's kind of tricky to get tuned, and we're still working on it, but you know, overall it's been pretty good. So what happened was I'd gotten in the throttle, I felt the car come up super hard, let out of it, obviously, let out of it too much, and then got back into it. When it did that, it picked both front tires off the ground, and it took me left. It was a wild ride. It's honestly a shame most people don't get to experience something like that in your life, but it was honestly a fantastic experience. So usually when you're driving a car, right, you're used to seeing a certain amount of road past the end of the hood. But what was happening with me is that road disappeared. So I'm up, freaking out, let out of it. Car hit the limiter again when I got back into it the third time. I went into limp mode again. That time it had actually gone 0 to 60 in 2.6 seconds with me letting off the throttle 3 times. So it just goes to show how big of a freak this car is. After that time, we let it rest for a little bit. I had some friends that came out from work just for a good time, just to see what the car was going to run. I was kind of worried that I was going to make them drive all that way for nothing. I really just wanted to put a good pass down. So the last time after that, so we made 3 more passes. For the third pass, we decided again, going to let the car leave super easy, roll out, get past, you know, the 60 foot relatively, and then hammer it, see what it's going to run. Out the door that time, I want to say the car went, it was 1150 something at 139. So we knew there was a lot left in the car. Obviously 139 miles an hour is hauling ass. I knew the car was going to be fast, didn't think it was going to be that fast. For those of you that have been watching the channel for a while, I wanted the car to be faster than my orange S550. The fastest that car ever went, everything it had was 1053 at 132 or 1052, whatever. So obviously we're way past that now, and the car is just a stock long block with a stock blower, stock pulley size on 85, which is insane. So we knew the car had some sauce in it. So the next time around, we were going to obviously do the same thing, but try and go a little faster that time. So let the car roll out just a little bit less, got into it, nailed it a little bit sooner. Car in. Car ended up going, I want to say it was 1030 something at 140. So a little bit faster, picked up a little bit of mile an hour. For the final pass, we let the car cool down as much as we could. At this point, most of the bracket racers were done testing for the night because it was just a test and tune. Most of the bracket racers were done that night, so we basically had the track to ourselves. There's a couple people that were still making passes, but it was mainly us. I'm sure the track officials by this point were like, God, this guy needs to get the hell out of here. He is wasting all of our time, because like I said, hadn't made a good pass up to that point. So going into the final pass, we decided we were going to try and get the car to leave in second gear, which we had been trying to do before, but I couldn't tell. There's no way to tell the car is in second gear because I don't have, obviously, a heads-up display or anything. There's no way for me to see what gear it's in without having the laptop open and logging. Left in second gear, car went 180 to the 60 foot, I want to say, 188 or something like that. So it went super slow to the 60 foot, but it went 10-15 at 141 miles an hour, which is just obscene. Completely out of the realm of what I thought the car was going to do. Just completely surpassed my wildest dreams for the car. And like I said, we're just getting started. It's on the 85, stock long block, Mustang cams, GT500 blower, stock pulley sizes, just on a different fuel. That is insane. So since then, I went and weighed the car with me in it, and a full tank of fuel weighs 3,400 pounds, which is on the heavier end of where I thought it would be. Torque is a measure of work, how much work it takes, over a certain distance, pound-feet. And then horsepower is how fast you can do that work. So if you know how much the car weighs and how fast it went, you can calculate horsepower. So with the car weighing 3,400 pounds with me in it, race weight, trapping 142 miles an hour, thinking right around 750 horsepower, which is insane. Like I said, stock long block, stock blower, stock pulley sizes on the 85. That is obscene. And honestly, just a true testament of how good the Coyote engine is. Volumetric efficiency and all that good stuff. Coyote's just a fantastic engine. It responds obscenely well to forced induction. That day was my brother's birthday. Happy belated birthday to you, Shannon. If you haven't checked out his channel yet, check it out. Cobra Built on YouTube. Got a lot of good videos. It was his birthday. He talked me into making one more glory pass. We were so close to getting that 9-second pass. He talked me into it. I really didn't want to. And usually when something like this happens, God has a weird way of telling me, I told you so, you should have listened to yourself. So against my will, took the car up to make one more pass, knew it was in second gear again this time, and it was getting ready to make a lick. It left super hard, got out probably a little bit past 60 foot, and it just lit the tires up. It just revved right to the moon instantly, thought I had broken something in the trans.
Thanks to everyone for coming up. All right.
Turns out my ice tank, which is in the front of the car, puked a little bit of water out. Water got underneath the rear tires. Obviously could have been way worse than it was. Just cocked it off to the side really quick, got off, made sure the car was still working, wasn't leaking or anything, got it off the track, went back and looked at the video. You can see in the video that it was, just puking water out right underneath the rear drive tire. Obviously not great for that, so thank God it didn't happen at a faster speed. Things could have been way worse than they were. So luckily, happened pretty soon on the pass, but still leaves us in the quest for the 9. So obviously this car's got a 9 in it. 142 miles an hour is plenty for a 9-second pass. We're right there. If it goes faster than 60 foot, like it did earlier that night, if it goes 160 to the 60 foot, they say a tenth to the 60 foot is 2/10 to the quarter. So just doing some quick bench racing, it's probably got a 980 in it. It needs some suspension work, but leaves a lot to be desired. Got a good number that night. Got a lot to look forward to, which is something you can look forward to seeing later on in this channel. So if that is something that does interest you, please consider subscribing. Really does help. Obviously find your way back to the channel. If you have any comments or questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. If you like the video, like the video. But that's gonna do it for this video. I hope to catch you in the next one. Y'all take care now.